Hello, my name is Julie, and it is the second half of my Friendathon vlog. So if you missed the first video, go check that one out. I'm currently participating in Friendathon, which is a readathon I've hosted for the last couple years about reading based on your friends. I'm hosting with my two friends, Katie and Imogen, over on Instagram. Love them a lot. We've been having a ton of fun reading. And at this point, I have read 3 of the 7 books that I'm going to be reading for the readathon. The Diviners by Libba Bray for the prompt for them to pick a book off your TBR veterans, and I gave this a high 4-star. Icebreaker by Hannah Grace for the prompt to read a book in a genre that they read more than you do, romance, and I gave this like a 2-star. And Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield finished this yesterday for the prompt for them to make a prompt for you, which was to read a book with all the letters of your name on the cover, Julie. So I ended up giving this a 3.5 star, which was sad considering that this was a 5-star prediction. But now I have 4 books left. My audiobook is The Gilded Wolves, which is for the prompt to read a book that has a character archetype that they like, which we have thieves and found family in this. A Man Called Ove for the prompt to read a book from an author that they own 3 or more books from. The Man Who Died Twice for reading a book that takes place where they live, and The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart for our buddy read. So I have started each of these books. The Gilded Wolves is an audiobook, so I'm going to be continuing this throughout it. I've been debating which of these books I'm going to start, and just based on me kind of wanting to finish a book today, even though that is a tall order, I think I'm going to try A Man Called Ove, just based on the reading speed that I had reading the first couple chapters of this. So today I am going to be editing a video. I'd like to go outside and do something, so maybe if it's not too humid or rainy like it's been the entire week that I've been moved in, and I still want to do a little bit more move-in stuff, maybe put up some decorations, maybe get some more furniture, that'd be great. And this is the progress that I've made so far on the bingo board. I've done quite a bit, but I still can do the post like them on Instagram. I have taken some pictures, but I need to post them. Also to watch one of their favorite movies or shows. So for Imogen, I'm going to watch Community, but yes, maybe I'll go to the pool and read this, but you'll see me if I do. Hey, I haven't done a whole lot, but I did get to my page goal in A Man Called Ove, so I am 250 pages in. This book is like the balance of hopeful, sad, happy at the same time. I didn't know how prevalent thoughts of suicide would be in this, but he misses his wife and he feels like he's been put out to pasture, and things keep getting in the way, and all these neighbors of his need him and they like having him around. This is sweet and I am really liking it a lot. Definitely potential to be my favorite of the readathon so far. I'm probably going to read a little bit of my ebook or listen to a little bit of the audiobook before I go to bed. So today was not as an eventful of a vlog day, but that's okay. They don't all need to be. Can you tell I'm trying to find my angles in this apartment? This makes my room look tiny, so I might stick with the other window. Yesterday was a little bit of a fluke. Man, I didn't really do much of anything, but I did get most of the way through A Man Called Ove. I did not finish it. I got here, I'm like 75% of the way through, and I will very easily finish the last 100 pages for this. This is so sweet and sad and funny. Like I do love a book that is like following a character throughout their life in reflections. I don't love a book that like skips time periods as much. Books like The Goldfinch, I hated like the big time skip. If maybe the two narratives were like put together, maybe it would have been better. And this is a type of thing where we're flipping back and forth, and that's something I really like. And I'm just having a good time with this. The sad parts are sad and the happy parts are so happy, and I'm like, this is always such a great character that I'm loving following. I also read a little bit of The Man Who Died Twice before I went to bed, but then I read more when I attempted to wake up at 8:30, and that didn't work very well, so I ended up falling back asleep. I need to adjust my sleep schedule, so I need to go to bed early, which means that my reading needs to happen earlier in the day. We should get 100 pages of this out of the way, get a good chunk of the way through Gilded Wolves, same thoughts continuing, and maybe more of The Man Who Died Twice. Since I'm a good chunk of the way through that, I think I'm at like 15% or something like that. And my thoughts are, I love coming back to these characters. I really like following all four of these septuagenarians who are all friends solving crimes, but I feel like this crime is less interesting because it's bigger. Like the other one was like a small town murder mystery, and this one has to do with like big international mafias and diamonds and heists. This feels less connected to what these characters are. I don't know. But I'm gonna go about my day. Hopefully I'll do something interesting.
Oh, hi. Oh, can I pet you? Oh my goodness. What are you doing here, baby? Can I pet you? Oh, okay.
Hi, I look like I don't have hair, but my hair is in a bun. So I did a little bit of driving around my new town. I checked out the library. I went to a little park to attempt to read a little bit of A Man Called Ove. It was a little bit too hot out, and where I wanted to be didn't have shade, so I just read a couple chapters. And while I've been driving around, I also found a bagel place and a Mexican bakery. There's like a very strange mix between old stuff and new stuff. Like the shopping center that I'm about to go into to get my groceries, very brand new, gentrified looking, versus like it is mixed with a lot of old buildings. I'm listening to the Gilded Wolves while I'm walking around, and oh my goodness, the most unrealistic thing that's ever happened in this book just happened. So there's magical secret societies in 1800s France, there's booby traps and heists and blah blah blah, and yet the most unrealistic thing is that, let me set the cast of characters. We have Severin, who is like the heist leader and was tossed around between like foster parents who all treated him terribly, and then Tristan, who's like his foster brother as well, but he's like the softie. There's Layla, who's Indian. She's a baker and a dancer, and Severin has a crush on her. Oh my god, there's a Filipino guy that I literally can't remember his name right now. And then there's Zofia, who's Jewish, and she is like a numbers person. She's autistic coded, and she loves math and numbers. And at this garden party or whatever that they're fucking infiltrating, there are golden ratio spirals everywhere. If you're familiar with the golden ratio, this is this. It's a pattern that's throughout nature. It involves the Fibonacci sequence. 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. The fact is that they're on this heist, right? And they see the Fibonacci spiral everywhere, right? And then they go to this booby trap where they figure out that they have to type in numbers to stop Layla from getting burned by a fire booby trap. And they have to think about what the number should be. It's the history guy who's like, oh my god, it has to be the Fibonacci sequence because it has to be a really old, ancient, mathematical sequence. I'm like, literally the sequence that the math girl's been talking about the whole time, and the math girl's like, oh my god, you're so smart. good for you. I would never have figured that out. You're telling me that this fucking math nerd doesn't know the Fibonacci sequence when she's been looking at it this entire... Anyway, let's get some groceries, make some dinner. What does one do with oneself when one has finished A Man Called Ove? Bro, this is sweet and sad. The ending is so good of just like this neighborhood becoming like a community around Ove, and Ove just becoming everyone's like granddad. I'm a little emotional about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is best book I've read for the Readathon. I'm so happy with this. And Frederick Bachman is on his way to being a favorite author. So good. Anyway. Do I look like a zombie? Because I feel like one. Look, I'm gonna have to wake up really early for work on Monday. It is currently Friday. So I am having to get myself up a little bit earlier every day. I woke myself up at 8. And I am not a person who can wake up to an alarm. If I do, I will feel like this all day. Like my eyes are watering, my skin feels gross. It's great. So I am going to do everything in my power to stay awake for the rest of the day before I go to sleep. That means I'm gonna go get a fancy coffee again. And I do have to go to my workplace and get a temporary parking pass today. My YouTube video that I edited yesterday is going to be posted today. So that's my spreadsheet tour. Happy about that. And I, again, want to read 225 pages. So last night, after I updated you on Ove and before I went to bed, I did read the rest of my 225 pages in The Man Who Died Twice, and now I am just about halfway through. I'm feeling the exact same way as when I told you last. Like, I'm liking our 4 main characters, but this crime does feel like bigger than their britches, if that makes any sense. One of the 4 of main characters gets mugged and beat up so that he almost dies. The rest of them are like, well, we're gonna get revenge on this guy who should get arrested for like assaulting somebody. He's also like a drug dealer. But what they decide to do is buy 10,000 pounds worth of cocaine, the currency, not the weight, and put it on him. I feel like there are things that you could do that aren't buy cocaine and plant it on him. I don't know, like that felt wrong. That specifically left a bad taste in my mouth, especially because like you could easily tell that it was planted. But I'm like not having a bad time with it. I'm flipping through it fairly fast, but I do hate that like on my Libby app, it's taking a 400-page book to over a 600-page book. I'm probably gonna do a little bit of Bone Shard Daughter and a little bit of this today. Also still doing Gilded Wolves. Going all right. I'm enjoying it. Today's goal is inundate myself with sensations so that I don't fall asleep. I'm gonna go get a coffee. All right, so I went to my workplace, got everything settled, ready to go for Monday. It is so gloomy outside and all I want to do is go back to sleep, but I'm going to try my best to stay awake. So we're gonna try this or my ebook, see which one I pay attention to more. I've been in a different outfit like every clip today, but it's still day 8. I did have to take a nap, I had a cave, but I only slept for like 30 minutes instead of like a couple hours. So I'm gonna take that as a minor win, and I'm not going to go to bed anymore, and I'm not going to be in my bed anymore, which means I have to be in one of my 2 pieces of furniture, which is this fuzzy chair. So when I was driving, I listened to quite a bit of The Gilded Wolves, but I have been reading Bone Shard Daughter since I have been home, and I have gotten to the 100-page mark. This is a multi-perspective fantasy that spans like a lot of different places. So that would be why this is one of those fantasies that doesn't have a ton of a synopsis. This is a fantasy where there's like a ton of different islands there's an empire that has taken over all of these different cultures and islands and everything. There used to be these godlike magical people who there was this old war with, but we somehow found a way to kill them. There is a type of magic that basically what happens is there is a tithing ceremony when kids are like 5 years old or something, where they have a piece of bone from behind their ear taken out, and it is given to the emperor. And then people with this magic, or who study this type of magic, it does seem like it is a wizard thing where you study it rather than it necessarily being innate. You can create things called constructs, which are animal slaves that are like a mix of a bunch of different animals, like chimera. Strawberry lemonade. Lynn, who's the daughter of the emperor, who's lost her memory, she is trying to figure out how all the bone shard magic works. And we also have a bunch of different perspectives. The main one that is other than Lynn is Jovis, who is the world's best smuggler. He's searching for his wife, who was taken. He was on an island where the tithing ceremony was about to happen, when the island full-on sank after a bunch of different earthquakes. He saved a child and found a little kitten otter creature, and now he's off to go find his wife. I like his perspective. I like piratey boat type people. I like the ocean as a setting, and I'm interested in Lynn as well. I'm less interested in the other perspectives that we've seen, and I also think it's a weird choice because Jovis and Lynn are in first person perspective, but the other perspectives are third person, and I think that is such a fucking weird choice. But you could just make it all third person. It is by far less confusing. So I'm definitely going to read another 50 pages of it tonight, and then see if I read all of my pages in Bone Shard Daughter tonight, or if I read more of The Man Who Died Twice. I am doing anything that will make me stay awake. So if that means I'm on my phone, that's fine. You just need to stay up. Hi, it is day 9, second to last day of the Readathon. My goodness. So what did I do since I last saw you? Shockingly to me, I finished The Man Who Died Twice. I did not think that I was going to be able to do it. Ebooks take me a minute to get into, and I also think that when I was reading this book at first, I wasn't really sold on the plot, but the longer we went, the more I was enjoying it. I do still agree with that this is a little bit more far-fetched, I'll go plot, a plot that seems more separate from these characters. When things were coming to the climax, I was enjoying it way more. I really like all of our characters. I like how they come together to create a friendship group and a crime-solving group. So we have a former MI5 member, a former nurse, a former union worker person, and a psychiatrist. And they all have very different personalities that are very funny when they come together. Richard Osman is just very funny. My favorite thing, the blurb for this book says, the book that critics are now calling his second novel. Hilarious. I also fully read the acknowledgements of this book because it was also hilarious. So I had a lot of fun. I didn't see the bad guy coming, and I just had a lot of fun with following these characters and seeing them outwit other people. So today, I attempted to wake up at 7 a.m. Didn't really happen, but I did later wake up at 8:30, which is progress. I'm tired, but I don't feel like a zombie like I did yesterday. So I couldn't really fall asleep last night because I was in pain, and I was just, I wish I could have gone to bed earlier. So today I am going to make myself go to bed earlier. And enjoy the day outside. I think it finally looks like it's not going to fucking rain. I think it has rained just about every other day I've been here. So we're gonna get through some of Bone Shard Daughter and Gilded Wolves. I don't know how much I'll do of either. I'm probably gonna cook another dinner. I think I'm gonna make the French onion soup tonight. I think that'll be fun, trying something completely new out. Again, I don't really have any plans except I need to get myself ready to go to work, maybe buy some new work clothes, I really don't have enough to sustain now working full time, so need to do that and edit the first vlog of this because I only edited the freaking intro. Alrighty, I have read 100 more pages of The Bone Shard Daughter, meaning I'm 250 pages in and a little bit over halfway through. Both Emmy and Katie have finished the book, and both of them have given it 3 stars. I feel like I have a very different opinion on each of the perspectives in this one. Lynn, who is like advertised as the main character, she feels very YA, but I am intrigued by the Bone Shard magic. I think that is such a cool magic system. Jovis feels so cool, very easily like the best perspective. But I think it's so weird that both Jovis and Lynn are first person. I think that was the wrong move. Falu and her girlfriend, I think that perspective is so boring. One of them grew up on the streets and one of them is the governor's daughter and they're in love. One girl's like leading the rebellion, trying to get her girlfriend to do it. And like, she's like, well, I'm like rich, like I don't need to do anything about it. And I'm like just so tired of their arguments, even if like the little rebellion that they're gonna do is important. And then there's a character that has showed up a couple times called Sand, who doesn't remember anything, is on some sort of island with all these people who are just named after like objects, and none of them really remember where they came from, and they're slowly getting their memories back. Very interested. It feels like an interlude, like from the Stormlight archives, like that kind of vibe of they only show up. They have very short chapters and show up very occasionally. But like other than, you know, like liking Jovis and the magic system, like I just really don't have a lot of strong feelings. And this is also generally Asian inspired. I saw that the author didn't want to make it Chinese specific, although she is Chinese. I'm having a good time. I'm flipping through it fast, but like again, no strong feelings. So it's a little warm out. I'm getting a little sweaty. So I'm gonna go in and I think I might try to do more of the Gilded Wolves while I decorate some, because I haven't done any of the decorating or planning where I'm putting stuff in my apartment yet.
Wait, but also because there's less than 200 pages left of Bone Shard Daughter, and I haven't read my 225 pages today, that means that I can chill out on the Readathon reading goal. I definitely surpassed my average of 225 pages a day. Feeling very good. It is the last day of the Readathon, and I am almost done. I only read a little bit more of Bone Shard Daughter since I last checked in with you, but I only have 130 pages left, which is half of what I've been reading about every single day of actually being able to do the Readathon because I was moving. But I did finish the Gilded Wolves last night while I was making dinner. I made French onion soup for the first time. Felt pretty good about it. That ending was freaking explosive. It was like, you think the plot's over? Nah, boom, character death. Boom, completely changes this character relationship. Boom, plot twist to the villain. I'm like, oh my God, okay. Look, I have been a 2-speed audiobook person for a long time, and I've always been doing other things while I'm doing my audiobooks. I think I've noticed more often recently, like in the last couple months, that I've been paying attention less to the audiobooks that I'm listening to. Maybe they're grabbing my attention less at the same time, but I'm also not actively paying attention as much. And I really need to work on that. Like after I read this book, I made sure to read the Wikipedia or the Wikia summary to make sure that I got everything, because I definitely could have paid more attention, which is on me. I had fun with this. I think the characters are a strong suit, and it's just a fun, heisty, national treasury type story. It's very Six of Crows from what I remember of Six of Crows. It's probably gonna be around like a 3.5 or 4, but like an enjoyable 3.5, 4, and I will work on the next books, really giving it my all. Editing Julie here with a weird coincidence that I somehow managed to not mention, but both the Diviners and the Gilded Wolves have a teenage female protagonist who can touch objects and read their histories. Such a weird thing to read twice in one go.
If I had a nickel for every time I was doomed by a puppet, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
So, Bone Shard Daughter, I feel like I'm kind of stagnating a little bit, but I definitely need to get this done today, give you more of my thoughts. We've been texting more in the group chat about how we're feeling about this book because both of them have finished it, both of them give it 3 stars, as I mentioned before. I feel like this is almost an eclectic group of perspectives that like, you just don't feel the same going into each of these perspectives. They don't necessarily feel like they're all the same story, even if you can see the connections and some of these characters interact, that it doesn't really feel cohesive as much. And I'm a big fan of multi-perspective fantasy. I mean, Stormlight Archives is one of my favorite series of all time, and in The Way of Kings, the characters do not meet. If they do meet, they meet briefly at the very end of the book. And the interludes don't make any fucking sense to you until later books. And it still felt like one cohesive piece. And I don't think that this necessarily executes on that. Maybe it also has to do with that combination of third person and first person, which I think honestly is kind of juvenile. It's like a really weird choice that I don't think is done well. I'm a really big fan of purposeful narrative choices. So I'm thinking of like, I just read Notes on an Execution earlier this month, and it is mostly told in third person, except the serial killer's perspectives are told in second person. It feels very purposeful to the type of story that it is, that it's trying to creep you out. It sets him apart for a reason, and I don't see a reason for these characters to be set apart. But yesterday, I moved the table. I don't know if I mentioned this or you noticed it yesterday, but I did move the table from where it was over here. My dad liked it over here because it was in the model that was over here. And I wanted this for like an island. And when I was cooking yesterday, way more useful. I don't have no counter space, but I'd like a little bit more considering I just got a lot of the little appliances and everything on here. It was just really useful. I got a table that was specifically bar height for a reason. I don't know if the books are gonna stay here permanently, but when I get a bookshelf, they'll go there. I spent last night playing Overwatch with my boyfriend, which was fun. And today my mom is coming by. We're going to go shopping for work and apartment things. We're gonna go out to eat. I actually did wake up at 7 a.m. successfully today. So I have a couple of hours until she's going to be here. So maybe I can finish the readathon before this evening, which would be great. Hello. I'm bone tired. I am so dead right now. My mom came by, we went out for brunch. Oh my God, I had some of the best chicken and waffles I've ever had in my life and a great mimosa, loved it. We went to Belk. I bought a bunch of shirts and like one dress that I'm gonna try to see if I can use for work, see if I like them. I got some home stuff. So I got some little baskets, dish towels that are green, a new calendar, which is great because I use these in my Instagram every month, and some other less fun stuff, but stuff that I needed. And I am just so sweaty. It's so hot out, and I would like to take a nap, as you can tell. Tomorrow is going to be super rough waking up at 5 in the morning when I struggled to wake up at 7 today. But I will try to make myself go to bed early, so that means the book needs to get finished early as well.
Hello. We are exactly where we started with this vlog, where I am in my robe, I have wet hair, and it's dark out. But this time, I'm making my breakfast for my first day of work. I love overnight oats. Whoever discovered this, I love you for it. But I did end up finishing a Bone Shard Daughter, and here's my thoughts. I think it's mid. Like, I just don't have strong feelings or thoughts. That always makes a fucking mess. About just about anything in the book. There were a couple of things that I didn't guess correctly, but I did actually guess like what a twist was going to be. Like any foreshadowing or clues that had to do with specifically one of the reveals was just so obvious that I was like, are the characters dumb? Again, the Falu and her girlfriend, like I thought that these characters aren't really like built up at all, and it's also like a conflict I've seen a million times. It was just really boring and they were annoying. And I don't know, I just don't think that each of these stories really held their own. Like, that's probably enough. I don't think any of them had like enough of an arc. Maybe Lynn is the only one who like has a big shift, in my opinion, and like, and she wasn't even like the really fun character. Jovis was the character that like you really want to root for, and he's super fun because he's Flynn Ridery, but it's really predictable. I feel like the ending is exactly what you expect for all of these characters, and I don't know, I had heard a lot of hype for this book and I just was not impressed, really. And then, let's close this up, and this goes in the fridge overnight, as the name would suggest. Now that that's done, I have a stack to show you. This is the order in which I thought that I would rank these books at the beginning. Approximated because I didn't actually do this ahead of time, but Our Waves Under the Sea was a 5-star prediction. A Man Called Ove is from an author that I've liked before. I had really high hopes for this one and this one. I liked the first Thursday Murder Club book, but it wasn't like a new favorite book of all time. I DNF'd The Diviners before, and The Gilded Wolves wasn't really on my TBR to begin with. Coincidentally, this is a very similar ranking to how the books are rated on Goodreads, with one exception, and that is Our Wives Under the Sea. And if you want to count it, The Man Who Died Twice, because it's a sequel, it actually has like a 4.4 on Goodreads, but if you like look at the first book's rating instead, it is still at the bottom. So let me correct this stack. And this is the stack of the Goodreads ranking, unless you put this at the top, even though it's a sequel. So very similar to what my prediction was. Very coincidentally as well, because how would I have known that? But even though those two are pretty similar, we both know that this is not my ranking. This is my ranking of these books. We know I hated Icebreaker. The Bone Shard Daughter is something that's gonna leave my mind immediately. Our Wives Under the Sea didn't really live up to my expectations. The Gilded Wolves, better than I thought, but I wish I paid more attention to it. It was fun. Man Who Died Twice, really enjoyable, quite liked it. The Diviners was such a fun audiobook that I kept wanting to listen to, and A Man Called Ove made me really emotional. So like, this is the only one that has stayed in its position. And now I can say that I finished all of these books. I'm very happy. I mean, I read 5 books off of my physical TBR. That's pretty exciting. Let's wrap up. This is my final bingo board for the readathon. I did everything except do reading sprints with my friends. We couldn't get that to schedule out. That's okay. But hey, I got everything else. I'm really happy with that. And this is what my apartment looks like at the end of 10 days of moving in. Obviously, we still need to get more furniture. There is some stuff on the way and some more stuff that needs to get bought. But much better than when we moved in, and this is a livable space. I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it, actually. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you participated in Friendathon, thank you. Thank you so much. It was so much fun getting to see your updates, seeing what you're reading together with my friends was so much fun. When the books were great and when the books were not. I am so glad that I decided to do the readathon for another year because I wasn't sure if I was going to, but this was super exciting and I can't wait to do it again. If you've gotten this far, first of all, wow, but second, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to follow me anywhere, my link is in the description to everything I do. And as always, I will see you in the next one.